Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, April 12th, and I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director for Franklin Tomorrow, and welcome to FrankTalks. We're so glad you're here with us this morning, and we've got a great group to talk about Civic Capital and our upcoming initiative, the Civic Index, the National Civic League Civic Index. But first, we're going to take care of a couple of things. I'm going to say good morning, Patrick Baggett, our board president.
Good morning. How are you?
What a beautiful weekend we had here in Williamson County.
Fantastic. Hope everybody got out and enjoy. Pinkerton Park was packed in like sardines yesterday. I tell you that much. It was a big day yesterday outside.
You could probably sell parking. Your house is right across from you. You could probably sell parking to get people into the park, right?
Don't put out any ideas, maybe.
Well, Patrick, you can see our great partners who help us present FrankTalks on here this morning. Hey, and so why don't you take it away and introduce Nicole and then Diane and our friends. But Nicole?
Sure. Nicole Volk with Williamson Medical. Glad to have you. Thank you so much for your partnership. And would you have a minute? You want to say hello? What's going on at Williamson Medical?
I'd love to say hello. Yes. Welcome to the Williamson Medical Center campus. And it's a beautiful morning, as we all know. And we're just so glad to be here supporting Franklin Tomorrow. We love to give back. The community has supported us so much through this past year, and it's just so important for us to be able to return the favor. And things are good here. You know, we're just trying to get people to not delay their health care, make sure you're doing those routine visits, routine checkups, get back in there. Now's the time to do it. And take care of ourselves. And I think we've all learned that lesson over the past year, that it's so important that we keep up with all of that and getting our routine screenings and everything. So
it really is. And things are opening up for people to get their vaccines, and that's been great. And Williamson Medical Center is playing a key part in that, and your staff and offices recommending that. Do you all have a video this morning?
We don't. I just wanted to come and say hello live. And I know you guys have a great program, so didn't want to hold things up. And
well, we appreciate y'all so much. And so I'll turn it back over to Patrick for Renaissance.
Sure. Awesome. Renaissance Bank, another fantastic partner. And I see Mr. Harrison Crabtree's in the house this morning. How's it going there? And Diane and Tony, good to see y'all. How's Columbia Avenue branch?
Hey, Patrick, we're doing great. Congratulations on your bout for running for office, and you've got my full support, so I appreciate that. Soccer season is just coming up, and Renaissance Bank is one of the major sponsors in soccer as well. Springtime is here. We've got a lot of great products and services, so we've got a short video here about us sponsoring the soccer club.
Nashville S. Longest of odds.
It's not letting me share. So that is Monday morning, as we know.
Monday morning, sorry about that.
I'm trying to play. So the fun part is trying to play a PowerPoint, trying to play a video inside of PowerPoint inside of a Zoom meeting. It's a lot of fun on a Monday morning sometimes.
Carl,
well, that's all right. Well, there's a great video.
Let's try it this way.
Nashville SC's inaugural season was a whirlwind of drama. Faced with the toughest of circumstances and longest of odds, NSC proved without a doubt that soccer belonged in Nashville.
When you think Nashville, I think internationally, you will always think country music. And then perhaps across the United States, it's known as maybe small market. It's not Chicago, it's not LA, it's not New York, but it'll float under the radar. And I think people here quite like that. You try and tell them, well, can soccer work here in the South? Oh, they don't mind that challenge. They'll take it on and they'll want to prove you wrong.
It's one of the things Nashville does best, proving people wrong. But for a team with no history, it would be a tough task.
The first challenge is putting 11 players on a soccer pitch that have never played in this city, in this league ever before. So much goes into that. Launching a new enterprise is challenging enough, and then you put on top of that tornadoes and you put on top of that COVID, it gets to be a tall order.
Nashville had defied the odds by winning a franchise. But to win on the field would be an even greater shock.
I don't know for sure what the expectations were around the league for Nashville. Certainly the media basically thought we were going to be a nothing burger.
We were written off from the very outset. We should expect regular beatings and ultimately, be very grateful that we don't finish bottom. And they couldn't have been further from the truth.
The win at Houston was the night the bar shifted for this team. That night you realized that actually this wasn't just going to be a team that was going to be respectable. This was going to be a team that actually could achieve.
In a year where excuses were easy to come by, Nashville SC never made them. New team, new city, they still found ways to push through and prevail.
Going to games that nobody expected us to win and pull one back and then get a result. And we'd lose games and not let it drag us down. That's a really important thing in tough times.
I think we all understood, saw and appreciated just how valuable some of our senior players were.
People like Dax McCarty, people who could kind of keep the team together and keep the young guys focused, and they just went about their business and did a great job, and I'm just super proud of them for, their attitude through it all.
I do think it's amazing what can be achieved when you have good people, you have good characters, you have an energy and a determination. We have guys that are hungry to do well and they work hard. There ain't no substitute for that.
For any team to do well in their first year is impressive. For Nashville to go so far, facing so much in a year like 2020, it might just qualify as another Music City miracle. The league has been put on notice. Soccer in Nashville is real. NSC will be a known contender in 2021. And if all goes according to plan, for many years to come.
My expectations were never really just about 1 year. I want to build something that's sustainable and can be sustainable for the long term.
I think many people looked at the 2020 season and said the main target was for Nashville SC to lay the foundations for the future. They've created an identity for themselves in season 1, and now they have to try and raise the bar that little bit higher in season 2. And what they did in their first year provides the players with a great incentive.
Thanks, Mindy, and thanks, Patrick and Mindy. We're proud to be that sponsor. We're also proud to be a sponsor of Franklin Tomorrow. So we appreciate you all support.
Y'all are a great partner for us, and we really appreciate you. So hang on one second. So, all right, we're back, and thanks to our partners, and we are going to move into our program, and we've got some great, exciting things to talk about today, and we are so excited to have with us. Patrick's going to stay on here with us, and we've got Mayor Ken Moore and City Administrator Eric Stuckey, but joining us all the way from Denver is Doug Linkhart, the president of the National Civic League. And Doug, we're so thankful that you were willing to get up super early this morning and be with us and be here as part of our discussion of Civic Capital, and we'll now announce our new initiative today and how people can participate. So welcome this morning.
Thank you, Mindy. Thank you for having me, and Mayor Moore, it's good to be with you this morning. I'm glad it's sunny there and soccer season, I believe. But really glad to be with an All-America City this morning. Congratulations again on 2020. That was a great victory, and we're really honored to have Franklin, Tennessee as one of our All-America cities.
So I will just say, Eric and Ken, did you sort of feel like that soccer coach that said, you know, people didn't know what to expect, but we also didn't get to celebrate as much as we might have wanted to?
Well, we hope you come back. We were virtual last year. We're virtual this year. It's more fun when we're in person, but I guess we could say that about a lot of things this year. Yet we've all persevered, and America's a great country, and we know we can survive anything.
Well, Eric, you and the mayor put all those banners up personally, right, around downtown, right?
Still got Band-Aids on my fingers from doing it. It's really rough on your hands. And climbing that ladder is really good for your exercise routine.
Yeah, I was
kind of like a new step machine.
Climbing up there, and I was holding the ladder for him.
You made the mayor go up there? Wow.
Yeah, he wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, he is the top guy. So.
Well, let's remind people, Eric and Ken and Patrick. Let's remind people about pursuing the All-America City. That was a partnership we did together with Franklin Amaro and the city of Franklin. And it wasn't just deciding to submit a one-page application for something, right?
Definitely not.
So talk a little bit about the process and the things that were highlighted, Eric, if you will, in our All-America City application.
Sure, and it's really all about the focus on community engagement and how we work to build a stronger community. And you know, we held up some examples that weren't just the city or not just Franklin Amaro, but the whole community that we felt were good examples, not the whole picture, but a good representation. And some of the things we talked about was the fuller story, our effort to really deal with our history in a complete way, in a engaging way, in a way that was more representative of our community as a whole, and recognizing how that influences how we work together going forward as well. So that was a major effort. We also looked at the On the Table initiative that Franklin Amaro led and engaged our community on, and the work the mayor has done in a couple different fronts with the Unite Williamson efforts, and then also the Get Fit Franklin efforts and all those kind of things that have helped us engage our community. He's also branched that out into the mental health realm in terms of Find Hope Franklin. So all these initiatives that help look at community need, but also a way in which we engage and help one another. And that's how you build stronger communities. And part of what All-America City does, and I've been doing this, working in local government as a professional for about 26 years, All-America City just holds those up as shining examples for communities to look at and learn from. And you know, we learned from just looking at the other applicants when we were going through it about the different creative solutions and the ways they were engaging and problem solving within their environments and in their communities. And we're honored to receive the award, but also know that that's a responsibility in terms of sharing our story and how that can help both improve our community, but help communities across the United States.
Doug, as Eric just mentioned, the cities that received the designation, 10 cities in the United States in 2020 received the All-America City designation, and they all had different stories to tell, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, everyone comes at this from a different angle, but they're all involving the people, their community, and addressing challenges that we all face.
So Mayor Moore, I know we were during the virtual conference last year, and we were watching people's online presentations as well, and we were all going, gosh, those are good. Gosh, there were 20 presenting, and we all, Patrick, Ken, Eric, we were all a little nervous. We were like going, gosh, ours is different. So, but it was interesting to see those for sure. Patrick, I know you were nervous about that when we were watching them.
I think that's a good point, because all the cities that were competing were great cities. And the thing that runs through my mind is that all of us that are city mayors involved with city government, you know, people take for granted a lot of those services that we provide, such as picking up your garbage and providing water and sewer service and keeping our streets up. But I think the thing that makes a city great is those other things. And I think that each city is unique in what those other things are. And for us, it was focusing on the health of our community and engaging in a challenging discussion on our history and inclusivity in our community. And so we were honored to partner with Franklin tomorrow, and we're quite honored that we were recognized as an All-American city.
So Patrick, you were part of our team that helped us put this, the Franklin Tomorrow presentation portion together. And the last question we got from the judges that day at our presentation was about how Franklin Tomorrow came together, and was it through what kind of crisis? And our answer, I mean, I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
No, it was a great answer. I think Eric, maybe you responded, or I can't recall who did, but it was a very good answer. And the answer was there wasn't a crisis that started Franklin Tomorrow. It was an organic initiative started now 21 years ago in the community, a grassroots kind of bubbling up of this spirit of Franklin, and this engaging and collaborating of various people and businesses and nonprofits and religious communities together. And it has evolved into what Franklin Tomorrow is today. And obviously we're pretty proud of it. And it's awesome to be able to highlight some of the things we've done with the things the city did to get across the finish line on this. Yeah, it's a pretty special organization, very highlighted through that process.
And we don't often, I don't think we say it enough, in that our mission is to engage the community and then foster collaboration and then advocate for a shared vision for the future of Franklin. And one of the ways we know what that shared vision can be is by the people who participate and the opinions they give, but also by undertaking initiatives like we're going to talk about with the Civic Index, the National Civic League's Civic Index. And that's really, Doug, a follow-up process, can be a follow-up process for an All-America city to look a little deeper.
Absolutely. We encourage cities, even those that have won the All-America City Award years ago, to look at themselves every now and then and question, what does an All-America city look like? What is the town of Franklin, and who are we as a community? And what is our makeup, and what are the assets that we have?
And so we had announced previously that we were undertaking the National Civic League Civic Index, and we are glad to have community support from Vulcan Materials, Gresham Smith, and Chandler Thinks, which is going to help us look a little deeper into the results that we get as we start our meetings next Monday on April 19th. We are doing both virtual and in-person meetings, and in consideration of the current health climate and concerns, we are great to partner with the City of Franklin Parks Department again and use those outdoor pavilions to hold in-person meetings. And we have over 20 in-person meetings scheduled between April 19th and May 7th. So we're limiting the size of those, and we'll have mask or hand sanitizer options available for people there. But we want to bring people together. And so that's part of these Civic Index conversations, is having a facilitated conversation, right, Doug?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important to reach out as far as you can and get folks from every corner of the community.
What's great, Eric and Ken, is that there are parks across our community that have these pavilions, and we were able to work and reserve those for times throughout the day, both in the morning, afternoon, and early evening for people who can't be there during the daytime. And also we have a Saturday or location or two that we'll be using as well during that time frame to really try to reach a little deeper and collaborate with those organizations. But if someone can't be part of an in-person conversation or doesn't feel comfortable, we also have a series of virtual conversations that we will hold. And you can see these are we're using Jim Warren, Pinkerton, Aspen Grove, and Fieldstone are the parks that have pavilions that are available to us to use during those times. We'll also be utilizing the new Harpeth Hotel downtown and other locations for those in-person conversations, stretching for that 2-week period of time. West Haven Residents Club, that's another that we'll be reaching into. So, but it's not too late for someone to schedule that conversation or want to hold one independently, because it's not a difficult process, and we have a great facilitator's guide that people can follow to be able to ask the questions that need to be asked before they take the survey. So, and when people come to those conversations, what are they discussing, Doug? We're trying to measure civic capital, and that's somewhat of a nebulous discussion point for people, but what is civic capital?
Well, this is something that we came up with about 35 years ago at the National Civic League. We've been working with communities since 1894 to create integrity in local government. And I think we've all collectively done a pretty good job. People trust their local government nationwide. We don't have the kind of partisanship and backbiting that we have at the federal level. But civic capital was something that we came up with that describes kind of the fabric of the community, the civic infrastructure. It's the relationships among people that make things happen. It's the relationships that are sometimes formal, with titles like mayor and alderman, and sometimes informal, informal community leaders from different ethnic groups or gender groups or age groups that stand up and say, I want what's best for my community, and how do we make Franklin proud of who we are. So civic capital is that web of relationships. It's the glue that holds us all together, that makes things happen.
And I mean, there are 7 components to civic capital, and I mean, I'm happy to read them, but I think there are things that people think about, and we've got an image that we'll put up, but engaged residents, inclusive community leadership, collaborative institutions. And we're offering some examples here that people might be familiar with in our community that we've identified, but we want during these facilitated conversations for them to help us identify more. Embracing diversity and equity, authentic communication, culture of engagement, and shared vision and values. And these are really the components. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah, that's great that you've already got a bunch of examples locally. I can give you examples from other places if you'd like.
Love that. Love that. Great.
I know that some of these words are a little bit hard to decipher, but let me first congratulate you on doing this process. And an organization like Franklin Tomorrow is exactly what we're talking about. That you embody the values that we talk about in terms of civic engagement and having the whole community involved in their problem solving and their daily life. So yeah, I know that you've got facilitators who probably be sort of wondering, how do we define these terms, and how do we get people to really understand? And I'm going to say now, and I'll say later again, it's really important that this is not a quantitative process. There's no right answer. It's a matter of perception. And that's why it's important to ask everybody their perception, because you may get differences among different kinds of people. A young person may say, I don't see this in our community. And a middle-aged person may say, of course it's there. if you average those two, you don't get what you need. You need to listen to both sides and listen to all parts of the community.
And when someone participates in a conversation, then they take the survey, or if they want to take the survey without participating in a conversation, we'll allow that. But they're really being asked to rate those things on 4 topics. I mean, 4 measures, and that
Right.
doesn't exist. It's a moderate strength. So it doesn't exist, exists somewhat, moderate strength, or a real strength in our community. So that'll be interesting to see the variations there.
Yeah, and like I say, it's important to not just average everything out, because you want to try to attend to each person, just like the mayor knows. You don't go ask the community who thinks yes, who thinks no, and you get in between. So you get in between. We'll vote maybe. You got to take a position and help everybody in the community.
Patrick, we've had a submitted question about how is this process differ or a follow-up to On the Table that we undertook a couple years ago, the On the Table process. How are these similar, or how will this information be different?
Well, that's a good question. Main thing is there's not, to be a facilitator, you don't have to prepare a meal. So this is, we were looking at this, On the Table was centered around a meal, and the idea that conversations flow around, on the table, around the table. And so, that barrier to entry has been removed, but there are some similarities and differences. I think the On the Table was a very organic type feel of conversation, and the follow-up questions were a lot of open-ended kind of questions that we asked in our survey, which allowed people to kind of share what was on their mind, which was very helpful. This is going to be a little more directed on the follow-up, on the survey, and something that we can really, as Doug just mentioned, hone into different groups with a standardized type metric that is somewhat subjective, but also a baseline with a forum that we can use in the future to revisit. But again, I think Doug resonated what he said is the average of these is not, you're gonna end up in the middle if you average everything out. And so looking by group, by zip code, by neighborhood, as much as we can, I think that will be our attempt.
So Eric and Ken, we published from the On the Table report. We published a report that provided details and information to the city, which was very comparable to the results that you all received from the National Citizen Survey through the City Managers Association. Can you talk a little bit about the National Citizen Survey and the survey results that Franklin and Morrow presented, just in how they seem to kind of validate each other almost?
Yeah, we've developed a kind of a pattern of doing that National Citizen Survey every other year, and it's a baseline for us in terms of perceptions. And there's a random element that goes out to residents across the community, and that's great because those are maybe not necessarily the folks that show up at meetings and all those kind of things, but it gives them a chance for their voice to be heard. But we have also had a companion piece that we call the all-comers version, which is the exact same survey, but everybody can take it. And last time we had, I think, over 2,000, maybe almost 2,500 citizens take that survey too, in addition to the random sample. And the examples were, the responses were almost identical. I mean, it was really interesting that people who self-selected and people that were randomly selected really said pretty much the same thing in terms of their perceptions. And, it does give us this baseline. Are we doing better? Are we holding our own? Are we dropping off a little bit? And we also have some open-ended areas where we get to hear people's concerns and make sure we're focused on the right things. And so asking these questions in different settings and seeking to engage people where they are is really how you figure out, are you heading in the right direction as a community? And so this is, and we hear some of these things over again, but then we also maybe hear them in a little different way that helps us maybe do a better job of problem solving or seeing how we engage the community even more. So you build all these fit together and help us get as good a picture as we can about our community. And I think it shows the care that we've tried to exemplify and the connection that we strive to continually build.
Yes.
I really appreciate Eric's leadership on the citizen survey, but this is going to be a different point in time when we do Civic Capital assessment. We've been through over a year of pandemic, and we know a little more about the virus. We know how it's affected our community, but I think what we don't know is how it's really affected people's attitudes and how they're looking at things moving forward in the future. I think this is a critical time for us to be doing these assessments and trying to what's next.
And to Eric's point, and to the point of Patrick as well, anyone can undertake this, and the materials are available through our website, and someone can decide that they want to hold this on their street, in their driveway, right, Doug? I mean, they could have a cul-de-sac conversation and just bring their community together.
Absolutely. And don't feel intimidated by the questions. It is a matter of opinion, like Patrick was saying. And everyone's got an opinion. You just need to tease it out sometimes. And it's okay to be undecided, but let us know how you feel.
And we don't anticipate that the conversations will take much more than an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, but that doesn't mean that friends and neighbors can't stay longer around. Patrick tells me around his fire pit, they might stay a little bit longer when they have this conversation, right, Patrick?
Depends on how well the conversation's flowing.
And then, but the survey is also important that people take that as a measurement tool. That will really be, while we'll be asking our facilitators to offer us some recap of their conversation. So it is more of a facilitated conversation than it was with On the Table. Really, again, like with On the Table, getting people to take the survey is the most important aspect of this tool, because it is a measurement tool. It's great to have discussions, but it's a measurement tool that we're looking to undertake.
Right, and it's a self-assessment. So, nobody from the outside is judging. It's your own judgment of your own. Think of yourself like a star athlete, and we're going to, ask you about every part of your body. We're going to look at your liver. We're going to look at your heart, your feet, and you're going to determine which part needs work, which part will help me perform better as an athlete. And that's why there are 32 indicators, because it's really breaking down the community into a lot of different parts and asking, what could use a little bit more attention? What is already a great strength?
And that's what it does, is it takes the two areas that are strengths, that this is a moderate strength or this is a great strength in our community, and averages those to arrive at a Civic Index score. But that's just a score, right? Because
Right.
The things where we don't excel are also where we need to be paying attention.
Right, and it's your own score. People have often asked, well, how do you rate against other communities? And that's not the issue. It's not a competition. This is about Franklin being the best you can be, and it doesn't matter, because it's your opinion compared to other people's opinions. So it wouldn't be fair to compare different cities against each other.
So Eric, also, are we undertaking National Citizen Survey this year as well?
We are, yes. I'm not sure the exact timing, but it is anticipated in the proposed budget. And so I would look for that either late summer or probably fall. We're juggling a little bit because we've got a municipal election and we like to try to not get those confused or conflated. So we may try to do it even earlier, but that is still getting worked out because it's in the next budget year, but we want to do it. If we could do it, we'd love to do it even this spring, but I would expect it happens over the summer leading into early fall.
Okay, great. And we'll help promote that and make that a part of this. So again, the dates for the conversations are April 19th through May 7th. The survey will be open until May 12th is our target date right now. And then our folks and our friends from Chandler Thinks will help us look a little deeper because we have added some demographic questions that will help us sort of sector the community a little better since we're not able to meet particularly in neighborhoods or as micro focused as we might in some of this. And so we feel like that will be good, but also anyone again can set up a virtual conversation or an in-person conversation. And we have Franklin Tomorrow has the materials to help them do that. And we're happy to help facilitate some of those. My second shot will have fully kicked in tomorrow. Woo! Yay, good timing. We're vaccinated and we're fully using Zoom and learning more about it every day. But we think that this is a chance for maybe people to start to maybe stick their toe back in being in person because the groups will be limited in size and an opportunity to come back together. I'm under the impression that people are ready. Eric and Ken, I don't know what your feelings are about people are beginning to feel more secure, but we can't let our guard down yet, I know. Completely.
Well, I think you're exactly right, that people have started letting their guard down a little bit. And this may be one of the most challenging times during the pandemic is as you phase out of the pandemic and going back to more normal life. And particularly with the COVID variants that we're seeing that are much more contagious and also more deadly, it appears. And think about it this way too. We only have a small percentage of our population with shots on their arms. So we need to continue to work hard on that because we're not protected until we get up on a much higher level as far as percentage of people receiving their shots.
Well, we intend to keep these meetings very short and socially distanced, and to bring people together also virtually is another component. I don't think it's how Doug and the folks at the National Civic League knew that Civic Index conversations could occur, but we're going to try it. We're going to see how it works, Doug.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. I think it's great that you're willing to go out in public and do public processes, community processes. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully people will enjoy the opportunity to gather. And those who are able to answer online, that's great too. And just make a pitch that when you get the data, look at all of it, plot it out on. Eric will appreciate scatter diagrams, perhaps, where you put all the dots on a graph rather than averaging all the results, because it's important to pay attention to those outliers, huh, Mayor? It's not just the average person in the middle or some mythical average. It's paying attention to every part of the community.
And we intend and hope that we will do that. And I think that, certainly this year is challenging to undertake a new engagement initiative, but it seemed a great opportunity to sort of begin to assemble people and bring us back together. But again, anyone can hold a conversation, and then we've got the materials to direct them to the survey. And through our website, there is a page on our website, franklintomorrow.org. and the civic, under the Get Engaged tab is the Civic Index conversation and the information about how to create your conversation and how to get the materials to be a facilitator. We've provided online training to about 40 people in our community who are willing to come out and do these trainings, both the ones we have already set up, but also to work with other groups to create chances for the conversations in their neighborhood, in the driveway, in the cul-de-sac, under the at their clubhouse, however that works. But we've got people willing to do that, and we are just excited about launching this initiative with information next week. So and great partners in our presenting partner Vulcan Materials and our partners Gresham Smith and Chandler Thinks, but also in looking at City of Franklin Parks Department, the Harpeth Hotel, but the other organizations like Rotary Clubs, which have invited us to come and present and be part and have a conversation there, or other civic clubs, churches that are going to be holding these conversations. And the ones that we've listed on the website are just those that are public, in-person or virtual events. And so we have many more conversations that are occurring throughout the community over that period of time.
Hey, Mindy, one other great thing to promote right in the middle of this process is the Mayor's State of the City, which is going to happen on April 28th. It'll be a lunch, and it'll be at the outdoor amphitheater area at Franklin Park, which is the kind of corporate office development right by, on McEwen, right by the interstate exit there, or entrance ramp there. So it's limited seating, but it's also going to be available live on Facebook. So you can either see it from your device, or if you can get signed up, there are limited seating. It'll be spaced out in outdoors, but there will be a little bit of a lunch, and our theme is fittingly from 2020, making lemonade out of lemons. So there will be lemonade at this event with your lunch. So, but we want to focus on the many positives and ways that people have risen to the occasion and made our community great, even in the face of something really none of us have ever faced before. So, Mayor, you want to add anything to that?
Well, I think you hit the highlights there. But I think it's important to realize that we're trying to create a safe event for the attendees, and we expect the physical distancing and the precautions that we've been using all along. And this is something new because we've had very few in-person meetings. So Franklin tomorrow is starting some, and we're of course having the State of the City. But we look forward to talking about what happened in 2020. And maybe we'll talk about something besides COVID.
Yes, and just the day before, so that's April 28th, and the day before, April 27th, will be our next virtual Breakfast with the Mayors. And we have a great panel joining Mayor Moore and Mayor Anderson to talk about 2021 as the year of recovery. And we've got the school superintendent, Jason Golden, and David Snowden joining us, as well as Cindy Seiler from Mercy Community Healthcare. And also we have Phil Mazuka, who's the new CEO of Williamson Medical Center, joining us, and Lauren Ward from Visit Franklin, as hospitality and tourism begin to bounce back in our community. But we're looking at this as the year of recovery, and we're excited about that. Hey, Mayor, I see two hats behind you by your door there. You always have a good game for your State of the City. Are we going to see a return of either of those hats? I mean,
one of the things about State of the City, we like to reserve the surprises. So I really can't comment or pass along any extra information yet, but I think the fact that we're making lemonade out of lemons might give a hint.
okay. And Eric, will people be able to sign up starting maybe today on the city website for those limited seats?
Yes, that'll come out either today or tomorrow. We do have the folks from the Breakfast Rotary are great about sponsoring the food. So we did give them a little bit of a head start for a certain number of spots so their members could help participate, but then the rest will be open up later this week. And we look forward to being together in a safe way, but doing it not virtually this year, but sharing it with the community in person.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So Doug, when are we going to get you to come visit us in Franklin?
Well, I'm tempted to come out for the lemonade. I wasn't sure if I could bring my own lemons, but maybe you could encourage people in the community to bring lemons or sugar.
Yeah, or we could just like bring a lemon with something written on it and just say, we're going to crush this. We're done with this. We're done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some
Well,
creative ways.
I was in your suburb to the north a few years ago, but I will try to get out of that big city and visit sometime.
So we have some great things that are happening this summer as it relates to the Fuller story. And Eric, and some of that came out at the end of last week about the dedication of the statue. But tell a little bit to this group about what to expect in June for Juneteenth this year.
Yeah, Juneteenth, which is Saturday, June 19th. And all the details are still being worked out because it's just been submitted to our special events committee at the city. But the gist of it is we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. We have some recognition every year, but this year is going to be especially important as we unveil the United States Colored Troops statue that will stand in front of our courthouse. The very same courthouse that provided paperwork for emancipated slaves to go become soldiers in the federal army and allowed them to actually fight for their freedom. So that is an amazing piece of our history. And part of the Fuller story is recognizing those aspects of our story that may not always get told. And that's actually an aspect of the story that we learned more about as we were talking about the markers around the square and how to tell a more complete story, especially as it relates to African Americans before, during, and after the Civil War. And so this is going to be a great event. We have seen the maquettes of the statue. The base is being put in place, and we will unveil that on June 19th, I think in the morning. And it'll just be an exciting opportunity to take another step forward in telling the Fuller story in our community.
It's very exciting. And we heard some of that from our friends at the African American Heritage Society in our podcast last week, the Front Porch Conversations with Alma McLemore and Marianne Schroer. But also then we know that the Fuller Story Group, the Social and Justice and Social Equity Group is involved in the celebration. And so we're very excited to hear more about that as it's released and look forward to it getting approved. It's going to be a great day in Franklin, for sure. So Doug, any last words? We appreciate you being here. Any last words or encouragement?
Well, I love the community spirit in Franklin, and it's clear that there's a lot of Franklin pride. And that's what the Civic Index is about, is gauging not just a level of pride, but how can we keep working to be better as a community in every way, and solve problems, address challenges. Abraham Lincoln once said that without public sentiment, nothing can succeed, that with public sentiment, nothing can fail. And it's clear that you've got public sentiment and that you're addressing every challenge that comes your way.
Well, we appreciate that so much, and we appreciate the support of the Civic League. Your staff has been great to work with, Rebecca Trout and Kiva Hummel. We just really appreciate their support in helping us execute this program, and your support personally as well by being here this morning. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll be anxious to see how it comes out, and best of luck.
Eric or Mayor, any final words from y'all as we wrap up?
Just an exciting time, and I look forward to being able to study those results and continue to make our community a great place to live, work, raise a family, and play, of course.
Thanks so much. So as we mentioned, we have a couple things coming up. Obviously, we have the State of the City address. The Mayor's State of the City address is coming up on April 28th. But as we mentioned, prior to that, on April 27th, will be Breakfast with the Mayors, and we'll be releasing that registration. It's all set up today. You also can go ahead and go to our website, franklintomorrow.org, and look under the Get Engaged tab for the information on how to find the conversations that are in person or virtual. If you want to hold one in your community or want to discuss it, you can either give us a call or you can email Carly Jewell, Carly@franklintomorrow.org, or me, Mindy@franklintomorrow.org. This has been a great morning and a beautiful day out there. Go out and enjoy it. Be safe and be part of the community. Just because we need to social distance doesn't mean we don't need to be engaged. So we look forward to continuing that this month with all the events coming up, and we look forward to seeing everybody online or in person. Go out and make it a great day.
Take care.